Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Tom Holman absolutely eats Representative Green's lunch so badly that, let's be honest, this is probably one of the reasons that he ultimately got censured. Let's dive in.
What type of policy do you envision that will help children who are fleeing harm's way with their parents usually or some significant person in their lives, have the opportunity to be in a safe, secure, wholesome environment?
Well, first of all, if I can, your question about raising your hands, if you would have said if I support zero tolerance, I would have raised my hand. Not family separation, zero tolerance. You seem to confuse those two issues.
Okay, well, if you would, I'm going to ask that you kindly address my question, but since you raised zero tolerance, I'm not sure what you mean by zero tolerance. Are you saying zero tolerance, no one ever coming to the United States? Is that your zero tolerance policy?
No, you're referring to family separations that have happened under numerous presidents, not just this president. But zero tolerance, what you're referring to is family separations, zero tolerance that was put in place by Attorney General Jeff Sessions. It was zero tolerance to prosecute those who knowingly, intentionally violate our laws.
So, and supporting that policy, you would support family separation then?
Whenever someone gets arrested for a crime, they get booked into a jail, their child can't go with them. Just like if I got arrested tonight, my child couldn't go with me. So it's not about family separation.
Well, the interesting thing about your argument is that these people committed no crimes.
You enter the United States illegally, it's a crime. It's 8 U.S.C.
No,
8 United States Code 1325. It's a crime to enter the United States illegally.
It is not a crime, it's a civil offense.
No, sir, it is not. It's a violation of Criminal Code, Title 8, United States Code 1325, illegal entry in the United States. First offense is a misdemeanor, second offense, if you've been ordered, removed, and returned, is a felony.
I agree with that. I don't differ with you on that point. But you would then separate the children.
If you have no option, if someone's being prosecuted and getting sent to U.S. Marshal's custody or to the local jail, the child can't go with them. I think what we're seeing today could have been prevented if Congress was to close the loopholes we've asked them to close. I mean, we proved back in FY 14 and 15 when I worked for Secretary Jay Johnson, who I respect greatly, he let us build family detention to hold family units in a family residential center long enough to see a judge, and it took about 40, 45 days. And most of them, 90% lost their cases, and we sent them home. And the numbers went down. It worked. So we're asking Congress, look, we've already proved this worked under the Obama administration. How come we're not doing it now? So I think Congress needs to fix this loophole. Let us detain families. If they're really escaping fear and persecution and death, I don't see a problem in being in a family residential center with medical care, pediatricians, child psychologists on staff, 3 squares a day, 6 sets of new clothes, access to lawyers, access to families. These are open air campus facilities. If it saves a life, and that's what I've been testifying the last 4 times. This isn't just about securing our border. This isn't just about enforcing laws, it's about saving lives. It's about 31% of women being raped. If we close these loopholes, we're going to save women from being sexually assaulted. We're going to save children from dying, and we're going to stop bankrolling criminal cartels who are making millions of dollars a day because of the laziness of this country not to fix the loopholes.
All right, who's the staffer that's going to have to tell Al Green that he's really going to have to be a whole lot more careful when he goes up against Tom Homan? Someone had to prepare him for this meeting, right? Because Tom Homan doesn't take prisoners. After all, he doesn't take prisoners, he deports them. All kidding aside, Al Green getting up in front of all your peers in the Congress, shaking your cane like you're a crazy person, screaming at the president, no wonder you're getting censured. And right now you're ranking right up there with Jamal Bowman for pulling the stinking fire alarm in the Capitol building. Yeah, look how that turned out for him. Jamal Bowman got beaten in his primary, okay? That's not going to bode well for you, Al. But in all fairness, Al does think that he's standing up for some civil rights, and I don't fully blame him. On one hand, there is the basic human dignity. On the other hand, there's I don't know, you broke Statute 1325. You have quite literally entered the United States illegally. We're going to have to deal with that problem sooner rather than later. And so, what is Al really complaining about here? Well, I think I've already touched on it. The dude wants to relive the glory days, and he wants to be a martyr for a good cause, when That's water under the bridge, and now you're making yourself look like a complete fool. And furthermore, you're alienating even more members of the Democrat Party. And so, for his efforts, he ends up getting censured on this morning, March the 6th, 2025. This will probably air a little bit later than that. But the vote was 224 to 198, with 10 Democrats joining all Republicans in approving the censure resolution. Green and freshman Shomari Figures from Alabama merely voted present. As the vote proceeded, Green sat by himself along the center aisle. After the vote, as the resolution required of him, Green stood in the well of the House chamber while Speaker Mike Johnson read the censure resolution to him. That is the ultimate I am being put in timeout moment right there. And what he thinks that he's doing something wonderful. Well, the reality is he's being obnoxious. And he's not being quite obnoxious in this section here, but he's asking a set of really dumb questions that fall short and fall flat on his face, all because of one simple, and at this point kind of obvious point. When you enter the United States without authorization, it is illegal immigration. You're breaking a law that might put you in jail anywhere between 6 and 18 months. Now, granted, I don't think that's exactly what's going to happen. I would much rather these folks be deported and deported safely, but we do need to actually start talking about immigration reform. We do need to start talking about, well, if someone's been here a while, what's the proper procedure? If someone's been here for 20 years, owns their own business, and you know what, for that business turns out to be thriving, I think something else should be in order. And Donald Trump actually touched on this idea a while ago. The gold cards. All right, I love that idea, but I think that there should be something a little bit lower status for someone who has been here illegally and ultimately they're able to buy their own green card after a certain amount of garnished wages for a certain amount of time, something along those lines. And I think Tom Homan would be behind the idea as well, because that would also solve the current problem that we have here in the United States itself from a legal perspective. So that would solve a major legal problem. It means we don't have to deport as many people, and we get to make a little extra money off the deal. So I don't see a problem with that plan, but let me know what you think down in the comments. But ultimately, before we wrap this all up, we need to remind ourselves, Tom Homan is out not for blood, but for justice. This dude has had to hold dying children in his arms because they managed to liberate them from the cartel, but not with enough time. And that's been something that's been actually evil that's been perpetrated on these United States. And it's not even the fault of the illegal migrants, but the cartels that traffic these people over the border. There's an estimated 300,000 missing children that we've apprehended, but we're not quite sure where they are. There's other conflicting reports saying that we found about 75 to 80,000 of them. That's probably what's more likely to happen is that Trump took one look at the immigration, at anyone dealing with immigration and said, you need to start fixing some problems and you need to start finding those kids. Well, lo and behold, the administrators finally start doing their jobs again and got the right kind of paperwork. So that's likely what's ended up happening, but we're still missing hundreds of thousands of people trafficked into the United States by the cartels. That's evil. All right, that's literal slavery. That is the slave trade, and I think the UN needs to either do something about it or look the other way when the United States finally gets tired of this nonsense and does what we've needed to do for a long time and go directly after the cartels. I think in order to save lives, in order to keep people healthy and quite literally healthy, because I've seen the terrible conditions these people are trafficked into and away from, and the cartel is making money hand over fist. This needs to stop. And Tom Homan seems like the guy that can get this job done. Al Green, on the other hand, I wouldn't trust him with dog catcher at this point. This dude had his 10 years in the sun, and that was a long, long time ago. And he's getting censured for making an absolute fool of himself in front of the entire nation. I'd say bless his heart, but I think that ship has kind of sailed. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.